You know, everybody looks at a fundraising consultant and thinks, I have a pocket of donors. But what I actually do is show people what they already have. Be a pioneer.
Be a weed.
And if you need to see me physically to consider me for a promotion, then there's a mismatch there anyway. No one treats you worse than you treat yourself. No matter what abuse you have been through, you are your greatest abuser.
Welcome back to HUMHR Career Insights. I'm Vacheshi Bafa, career coach and founder of HUMHR. This is part 2 of my conversation with Lizz, a nonprofit leader and fundraising strategist based in Chicago. Part 1 was AI, hiring, and access. Here we go into entrepreneurship as a deliberate career choice, the remote work debate, and a very honest conversation about coaching and what it gave Lizz at one of the hardest points in her career. Let's get into it. Let's get out of the weeds and talk about entrepreneurship. You have been an entrepreneur for a long time.
Am I an entrepreneur? I don't know. Okay, continue. I think about it in the most traditional sense. Whenever I hear the word entrepreneur, immediately the image for me is my brother.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Startup coach, everyone. I had the startup coach. First episode, he came on board. So, yes.
That's what I think of. So I think I'm like, am I an entrepreneur? I suppose there is I think my LinkedIn calls me a social entrepreneur.
Yes.
But continue with your question.
So, entrepreneurship. This is what the season has been about, and it's about using the skills that you have, even if they're skills that we're using in corporate, using those skills and saying, how can I sell this skill? And changing the mindset to an entrepreneurial mindset. Now that we are sitting in the AI bubble, which, it might burst, but we're sitting in the AI bubble and jobs may be lost. We were being told jobs will be lost, and maybe some have been. But there's been a lot of jobs that have been lost for various different reasons. And I know we were speaking about this and we're like, hey, why don't we let those jobs be lost so that we can do something else? Now, I want to find out from you, in your mind, what is that something else?
I'm trying to recall what we actually were talking about because we had some good points. But anyway,
we had the podcast before the podcast.
You're right. That's you should do in addition to Bache's takes. I'm giving you things to do. Podcast before the podcast. Yeah. I think it's think about what you have, right? That is irreplaceable. And try and I hate to use the sort of like idea of monetizing things, but there are things that machines cannot do.
Yes.
Right? There are things that machines cannot do. And one of the easiest thing I think we can talk about is grow food. But somebody might argue that machines can grow food when you think about what commercial agriculture looks like.
Yeah.
But there's also the relating, like life is relational. Like you still need to engage with people. People still need to be heard. People still need to be felt, to be seen, right? I mean, I in my line of work, I can spend months working with an organization before it becomes a proposal, and more often than not I give a proposal and I get radio silence. Nobody wants to work with me anymore, but I know that there has been value right in that discovery process and in helping allay people's fears around fundraising, in helping people see the value of what they already have. You know, everybody looks at a fundraising marketing consultant and thinks I have a pocket of donors.
Yeah.
And as soon as you give me the contract, I'm going to take those donors out of my pocket and tell them to give you money. But what I actually do is show people what they already have. Like my individual giving seminar is about saying to you, you already have the people that can become your individual donors. It can be your staff. You don't know. Your staff member might become very rich and inherit money and want to give you money, which is probably why we should all treat our staff people really well, because you never know, right? There might be a family whose family member benefited from the service that your organization gives, and they might be able to give you a gift. Like, you just have, I think the people to people is where we find the things that can be an answer to this idea of replacement by technology. That's my belief, in terms of letting these jobs be taken and finding another solution or another way that you can be productive, engaged, useful. But I really do think that there is still more that we can do. And quite honestly, this is the opportunity for us to really look into how seriously we should be taking this climate question.
Yeah. Very seriously.
We should.
Yeah, very seriously.
We should.
Lizz, I've spoken about the broken rung, and I think I had a conversation with you about this broken rung, and I want to get your take on, is entrepreneurship the solution to this broken ladder?
I always hesitate, right? And I'm hesitating because I don't think that I have pursued work in the most traditional way, right? And I've not, even when I have been in a conventional workspace, elevation within the workspace in hierarchy has not always been the goal. And lucky, I think it's very lucky for me, and maybe that's where I am entrepreneurial, is that many of the jobs that I had have always been starting something new, even in an already established entity.
Yeah.
So I have created something that wasn't there and figured out how to make things work. So in that respect, there wasn't a next level up. And I wouldn't even say that I set the standard. I don't think my ego would allow me to even go that far, but rather that I've never experienced a broken rung or a glass ceiling.
Yes, okay.
And I very quickly...
Maybe because you were not even looking for them.
Right. And I very quickly started my own thing where I was the boss and I got to call the shots.
Yes.
Right? And the two experiences where I was in a place where I am in leadership and in hierarchy and structure, I struggled. And that's how you and I came to sort of like meet around the coaching.
Yes.
Right? Because I don't think I am easy for a conventional workspace, for the people that have to manage me and for me who's being managed.
Two things there. You hesitate to call yourself an entrepreneur, but you quickly, I'm going to quote you, I quickly started something where I could call the shots and I was my own boss. Is that not entrepreneurship?
I guess it is. Yeah. I suppose I am.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, I guess in that respect, that's what an entrepreneur is when you see a problem,
Yes.
of which there are plenty in the world, and you decide that you're going to use the skills that you have, your ability to bring people together in some way to solve that problem. So, and I think that's what the startup coach talks about too, isn't it? Like, when you're even in a corporate setting,
yes.
in what does he call it? Entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship.
Yeah, like that. You solve problems.
Problems
with if the entity allows you. I think for me, I always find that within an organized structure, I need that organized structure to have malleable boundaries.
Boundaries, yes.
Right? Like if I am too boxed in, then I get sick. I think I would actually describe it as sickness. I don't do well.
Oh no.
I don't do well in places that don't allow me the freedom to do the thing that I know I do very well. And when I know that I can do something, when I just let me do it. Let me do it. And I can't tell you the number of times, well, I suppose 3, when I think about formal employment, where something that was resisted actually worked after I left.
Oh
yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I mean, the growth that has come, I can still be petty about it in a joking way, but for many years, it was deeply impactful in a negative way for me, to see an idea that had been brushed off, ridiculed, suddenly be implemented. And I mean, it's actually, stop me if I've told you the story before, but what is her name? Nozipo Maraire. I met her once in a different context.
Yeah.
And she talked to me about Vanavevu.
Yes.
Because when I started Vanavevu, it was something that people just couldn't quite understand. Even the youth I was working with kind of just trusted me. But I remember speaking to her the frustration around people questioning and doubting. And she said to me, you're a pioneer. And she was talking about it in respect of, there was a time I was really feral about telling people who live in the diaspora that we all need to go home. And we all need to go home now. And that was like around the year of the Government of National Unity in 2010. I was like, this is the time.
Yes.
Everybody come home. And she sort of said to me, you're a pioneer. And often that is like a lonely journey. And I sort of like it landed, but not really at that moment. And then I took permaculture, right? I started learning about growing food with nature and not against nature, right?
Yes.
And one of the things that we talked about in a very philosophical way was weeds. I love weeds because weeds tell me that there is opportunity and there is fertility, right? We call them an annoyance, we get rid of them, but what weeds also do is that they actually protect your soil. We are losing topsoil in the world at rates that are alarming. So even when we talk about growing food, if we don't feed the earth, we might not be able to grow food, right? So weeds, those roots, and they're long and they're tough. That weeds are hard. That's why Monsanto had to create that awful Roundup to kill them, because weeds are tough.
Yeah.
So I look at myself as a weed. I connected to that moment of being told you're a pioneer. And actually in permaculture, we refer to weeds as pioneer plants.
Wow, really?
So I don't know what point I was trying to make, but be an entrepreneur, be a weed.
Be a weed. Be a pioneer.
Be a pioneer.
Yes, yes. There needs to be a pioneer.
Somebody, I mean,
Somebody has
in our podcast, before the podcast, we were talking about, the canary in the mine,
yes,
right? Which is a little darker. But if we're sort of like coming out of extraction, right? Because in the mine, you're going into extract, but we're talking about above ground. Yeah. Be a pioneer.
Be a weed. I like that. Be a pioneer.
And
I
would also encourage
This is
people.
our new T-shirt.
Exactly.
The first episode that we did, our T-shirt was "The Future is Equity."
Okay.
So our T-shirt for this episode is "Be a pioneer."
Yeah.
Be a weed.
Yeah.
I
mean, I think, and I hope it also gives people a moment to think about, where did you get this idea of weeds being bad? People are like, weeds throttle plants, they do this. But I think of one weed, dandelions, right? People are always taking dandelions out of their perfectly manicured lawns. But dandelion is a source of food. I think it's high in vitamin C, and people drink dandelion tea.
Yeah, it's supposed to detox.
Right,
detox the liver.
But that's in the conventional nomenclature. It's a weed, but it's actually quite a beneficial plant that is allegedly tasty. I haven't been brave enough to eat it when I've seen it offered on a menu.
Two more things that I want to get to. While I have you, it's so good to have you here personally. It's a different feel.
Lots of sleepless nights.
Yes.
But it's always, we'll catch up on sleep later.
Exactly. But it's a different feel to, talking over the phone or via Zoom.
Yeah.
So I want to get two things. Yeah. Remote work. And then we'll talk a little bit about coaching.
Okay.
Yeah. But remote work, there's this debate going on and this return to the office. And then coming from return to the office was a conversation about how, particularly for women, in fact, it was a message to women that you need to be working remotely is not good for you. Working remotely will not get you a promotion. Working remotely will not, get you up that ladder that we spoke about, or, through the glass ceiling. Promotion, basically, if you want promotion, if you want to do well, you need to go into the office, be visible, be close to the decision makers.
Right.
What's your take?
So my take on that is that I think that we have to remember that we are not is it monolith? Is that the word? We're not one thing, right? And people react and respond to different types of inputs, right? So the point I'm trying to make is that I think remote work needs to remain an option. After the pandemic, or during the pandemic, there was all these like statistics and reports that were saying that companies were reporting high rates of productivity, right? But the other story that didn't get a lot of airplay was the people who really struggled being alone or working remotely or isolated, right? And I want to say that work environments should offer people both options, right? There are jobs that require you to be at work to do them. But for those jobs that don't, if somebody is actually performing better and is happier in their work environment and their work experience, let them work from home. Let them work remotely. It shouldn't take anything away from my manager that I'm in Costa Rica if I'm delivering, right?
Yes, it should not, yes.
And then for those people that need the cooler talk and the office environment, if possible, let those people have that too, right? However, on this issue of remote work prevents you from getting a promotion, that's what I feel confirms, and I call BS on, because what it confirms is that it's about performance.
Yeah.
And it's not, and I'm not talking about performance as in related to your KPI, but it's the hobnobbing, networking, smiling, just like putting on a show, right? And if that's what's getting you a promotion, then it's actually not an equitable quality. It's not an equitable state of conditions. People are not being promoted for being good at what they do. Then they're being promoted for being able to suck up to the right people.
Sloosh up. We used to say sloosh up in high school,
exactly.
isn't it?
Yeah, they're slooshing.
Yes.
Right? And the person who slooshes probably can't outperform the person who doesn't sloosh or is not visible. And if you need to see me physically to consider me for a promotion, then there's a mismatch there anyway. There's a misalignment. I work currently 3 jobs.
Yeah.
I sometimes start my day, depending on where in the world the person I'm having my first meeting with, I can either start my day at 3 a.m. or I can start or end my day at 11 p.m.
Okay.
So I am a big proponent of remote work. If I needed to go to someone's office, I would not be successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then a lot of people, I know there was a big talk about it or discussion about it on social media, but there are also a lot of people mothers, right, who have now said remote work has actually allowed me to show up for my children and to be present. And so I think that especially where women are concerned, I mean, I don't know if we're declaring that I'm staying with you while I'm here.
It's fine.
But I'm in awe. I'm in absolute awe of what you are doing, managing your babies and your life and your household. Now, I kept thinking to myself, so if Bache had this desire but needed to go to a 9 to 5, what would be suffering right now?
Yes, what would be suffering?
So I do think that there, and in particular, the social media conversation was being had by people or being led by a person that I think really needs to check their privilege. You can say certain things, and I know, like, one of the things that I am always complaining about is living in the West and not being able to afford a helper with my domestic chores, right? I closed my bedroom door and did not look at the laundry that I did on Sunday, and it's still not folded. And I was like, I'm going to Florida.
Buy laundry.
But so there's another thing, and I know it's also this world of the hot take. The world of the hot take that we live in often positions us to end up being careless where we didn't mean to.
Yes.
And I think there is also, in this era of late stage capitalism that we're in, there is very much a slow building panic around identity, because for many people, especially in the global north, who you are is what you do and what you do for work.
Yes.
And so these
Identity.
conversations are really, for me, who is sort of like a fan of of the breakdown of the system that has never really served any of us, really, even those of us that are privileged within it, and that's both patriarchy and capitalism. I'm excited for the breakdown. But these sort of like, because very soon it's let's return to work, let's return to this, and very soon, let's return to women being at home. Like, be very careful about what we think about, what we want to return to, because it might actually end you up in a place where you didn't want to be in, because the systems that we're in are always at play, and they know us better than we know ourselves, and they need certain things to work in a certain way in order to keep going. And so when we have these hot takes and we don't stop to locate ourselves and our privilege in it, you end up having a lot of backlash. And I don't even know if she cares, but social media is another place that I'm just like,
how do they survive this kind of thing?
My ego is too fragile. Like, I post a WhatsApp status. I'm like, nobody's liked it. Oh my God. So I mean, kudos, you're on social media. Like, I don't know how I would do it if, like, I post something on YouTube and the views take a while to start showing up.
Yes, it
could not be me.
You have to learn. I think it's a skill as well in entrepreneurship, that resilience. You have to be resilient and keep going, keep at it, and one day someone will recognize that, hey, that's a pretty good podcast.
Yeah, it is a pretty good podcast. I'm on it twice. That's how good it is.
This episode is brought to you by HUMHR, the boutique career and leadership consultancy helping professionals get clear, get confident, and get hired. From CV writing and Clifton Strengths coaching to interview prep and leadership development, HUMHR is here to help you take the next step in your career. Visit humhr.org, HUMHR.org, to learn more.
Let's talk about coaching before we go.
Yeah.
And, this is just public disclaimer. You have been pretty public about the fact that, I coached you. You came to me for coaching at a point in your life where you were in transition and needed some guidance. Let's talk a little bit about that without, sharing too much of what you don't want to share. Of course, we're going to have, no public disclaimers here. Yeah. The coaching space is a very sacred place, and a place where we don't share too much to the public. So more about what drove you to seek coaching.
And I don't know if you know this, but I had already tried coaching.
Oh, I think
by the time I came to you, I had 2 or 3 coaches.
Oh, no, that I didn't know.
Yeah. And that's why in my post I said it landed. Because that, I think, that was the one program I followed through. But I came to you at a time where I was starting and ending my day in tears.
Oh, no.
Around work. What I spoke about earlier, that I was in a container that had hard walls that wouldn't. So I had expanded, and now I was, when like a plant grows around something. So I was now sort of like growing around my walls, and it was very painful. And I was, for the dramatic, I was killing myself at this job. My blood pressure was out of control. My inflammation, my cortisol, I was just not in a good place. And I think you and I have this like WhatsApp relationship, right? And so I don't know what you were saying to me, and I was saying to you, I cannot write a cover letter or a a resume. Like, I can't do, I just don't know. And I kept saying to you, I don't know what I do. I don't know what I'm good at. I was just, and you just kind of said to me, okay, I'll do it for you.
Yes.
And that was it. Like, for me, that was like, but then it wasn't just that you'll do it for me. You then said to me, but I don't know your work. I don't know what you do. There's certain things that I need you to give me for me to do this for you. And you were so patient. I'm sure I was grumpy most of the time. And then you had me do, was it the disc?
Yes, the disc.
You had me do
disc
the
assessment.
disc assessment, and I did the disc assessment, and that's another thing that you helped me with, because while I was doing the disc assessment, my internal voice, my inner critic, was brutal. And that's what your coaching thing helped me, is that because from your coaching I went into therapy. Because I realized how you, and I'll say this to people who, free advice you haven't asked for, the things that you say to yourself, no one treats you worse than you treat yourself. No matter what abuse you have been through, you are your greatest abuser. So I answer these questions telling myself, this is stupid. Ugh, what are you even saying? Do you even know what that is? And then you do I always imagine her doing magic things in the back. And then you came back with this report. And I remember feeling all kinds of emotions because, first of all, you said to me, I know this about you, but oh my God, do you know how amazing you are? And I was just thinking, of course she has to say that. Like, obviously, like I was really frustrating in hearing compliments from you. And they weren't even compliments. You were just talking about the skill sets that I have. And then also saying to me, what you have done, what you have achieved. And in my mind, I'm thinking, Vanavevu didn't become the big vision that I had, so I failed. No, it isn't. She doesn't know what she's talking about. So I really just appreciated. And you're one person, I don't know if you have bad days. I haven't seen them. I've never experienced you in a bad mood. But you're just one person who always has a positive outlook on life. And even as I'm a curmudgeon about capitalism and patriarchy, and I always have some deathly fact about how the world is going to, down the drain. But you always have this positive outlook. And then you looked at my resume and you were like, okay, the format is outdated, but you have stuff here. And I mean, it's how one sees oneself. I just remember myself being constantly grumpy, sulky, and petulant when you were working with me. That's all I remember. And you coming back with all the sunshine and love. And then I remember, I think we had a moment where you might have thought, okay, this one also. And you said to me, we're going to do nothing else. Go back and read your disc assessment. And I came back to you and I said, you did that. You put, she's like, and you were like, no, I didn't. This is your input, and this is where it came up. This is where your strengths are, Liz. This is what you're good at. And then again, me and my grumpy, you're like, okay, I'm gonna take this and we're gonna do the resume. And when I read the resume, I was like, whose resume is that? So in many ways, I think you started me off on the journey to truly see myself, but not only see myself, trust what I was seeing and believe what I was seeing. That, I mean, hands down. And I don't know, maybe it is because of your disposition that it worked for me. But did you notice how grumpy I was?
Not at all. I I did realize you were not happy in the work you were doing at that time, and that a transition was in the making. And really, my job was to lead you, was to just guide you and let you see that you have the answers and what those answers are.
And that kept driving me crazy because I wanted you to give me the answers. I'm so glad, because there are moments where I like was like, because even when I did that LinkedIn post and you said to me, I don't know, what was the comment that you made? We were ending one of our long rambly conversations when you were coming back.
Yes, I said I wish people would learn how to write their own CVs. And I said, and that's coming from someone who writes.
I felt that in my soul, because when you said that, it took me back to the first time I saw my new CV that you had written and the cover letter that you wrote. I remember, people talk about how we hold trauma in our bodies.
Yes.
But the first time I had that full package from you, an application to a job and a fully done revamped resume, I remember, like, I even have the body memory of finally letting go. I was like, right? And then the next one happened. And then the next one happened. I think you might have done 3 or 4. I was very spoiled. Maybe even 5. But then what I had then was like language that even the psychology of, Ache wrote this, it's not me being egotistical, I think, and we can make this our third podcast, me plugging myself in for another. But the way we were educated, right, and especially I was educated in Catholic institutions, that was also an all-girls school.
Yes.
You weren't special, so you got 90%. Everybody else around you got 90%. And if you got 99%, you were discouraged to be proud of yourself for that, right? And so that is something that I've carried. So the psychology of when I started writing cover letters on my own, of taking verbatim your words and putting them in, I felt more comfortable doing that than me writing it myself. And it's still something I struggle with, my sort of like, even though I am my business, like it's me that I bring into the room, I still think that in my brain there's a bit of compartmentalizing of myself, and sort of like there's professional Liz, there's this Liz, this Liz. I'm on the journey of seeing myself as a whole and being comfortable with what my gifts are and putting them on display. I seek external amplification of my skills rather than talking about them myself. But my coaching experience with you was what I needed to start my healing journey. Because after I then got the job that I moved back to the US for, I then started therapy. And in therapy, I'd be like, I saw it in my disc report.
I am so glad that the journey, the career coaching journey led you into the life journey.
Yeah.
And it's always that little turning on the switch and just that, Liz, look over there, because you have the answers.
And now I can also see it in other people. You have no idea how many people I diagnose the need of a coach. Because sometimes it isn't therapy that you need immediately, especially around profession. If you have the resources, It doesn't have to be Bache, but I highly recommend Bache.
Thank you for plugging me.
If you have the resources, you just need somebody to walk a journey with you. Like, I didn't understand what coaching was. And one of my really good friends has started her own coaching business. And I remember she offered me a few sessions, and I stopped working with her because of the question. What was the question that chased me? What brings you joy? I froze. I froze when she asked me that. I still can't answer that question, actually, if I'm pushed to it. I have, thanks to people like you writing about me for me, I have my elevator pitches for different things, but it's still very performative. It's not from within. But yeah, I think it's one of the best investments I've ever made. If there was a way to love myself, investing in coaching was definitely a good investment. That was a good way of loving on myself. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I like that. Investing in coaching was the best investment, and it was a way of loving on myself.
Because, I will buy myself a bottle of wine and all sorts of other, treats, but does that actually have the lasting impact that my time with you? And, I mean, you're still my coach. It's not over as far as I'm concerned.
Lizz, end this conversation to tell us about NDISU.
NDISU is there. It's kicking. It's my little consultancy, my bid to, support African organizations that are doing important mission work.
Yes.
In finding the resources that they need in order to do that mission work. And last year was hard, as with any business. I'm sure when you have the startup coach as your relative, he had some advice and sort of like, this is what it is, right? You either are going to survive this difficulty or you're not. And I think in many ways I haven't, but I've adapted to trying and surviving the difficulty. But I had a lot of really great experiences, and I think I do believe that the work that I do requires a certain kind of readiness and mindset in order for people to see the value. So I get annoyed when I feel like, an organization or a person has wasted my time, but it actually hasn't been a waste of time. It's allowed me to fine tune my offering. It's allowed me to think about who I should actually be, who is ready for me.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I welcome any organization that is looking to free themselves from the shackles of institutional funding to come and talk to me, and I can help you figure out where you have resources. And I tell you, those resources are in your contacts. You already have them. You just haven't taken the time to cultivate them.
Where can people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn if you search my name, or if you search for NDISU, which is spelled NDISU. And for those of you that don't speak Shona, NDISU is from the Chishona language of Zimbabwe, which means us. And so that for me is very much, that's why I have independent consulting that I do that is based here in the US. Yes. But when I do the work with African organizations, I call it NDISU. It's us. It's work for us. And I've walked the path that many organizations and many executive directors, many directors of fundraising have walked, and I know those difficulties. And so I really look at myself as somebody that you can be vulnerable with in partnership as we try and solve your needs.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you for coming once more. Once more. I was gonna say once more again. English is a what?
Second language, third or fourth.
Third or fourth. Thank you for coming again to Humor Career
My
Insights.
pleasure.
And I hope that you'll come a third time.
I think we have lots more to talk about.
We do. And to our audience, thank you for joining Liz and I today. And stay inspired. And one more thing before you go, I checked my analytics the other day and I realized that 70% of people who are actually watching the podcast are not subscribers. Please subscribe before you go. Set the notification bell, like, and comment. Thank you very much for joining us today. Stay inspired.